This video will cover the entire lesson for adding and subtracting rational expressions. So I'm going to go through several problems, demonstrate how to do a couple different problems, and also give you a chance to practice several of the problems just to make sure that you have a good understanding of the process. Alright, so the objectives for this lesson or this video is going to be combining rational expressions that have the same denominator. And if they have the same denominator, we're going to treat them just a little bit different than if they have different denominators. If they have different denominators, we're going to find common denominators. Then we're going to add or subtract these rational expressions with different denominators once we find the lowest common denominator. All right, I've got a warm-up here for you. I would like you to do all three of these problems. Go ahead and push pause now, work out the problems. When you've obtained all three answers, come on back and push play. Okay, check your answers here. A couple important pieces of information here. The 10 on the denominator, this is 7/10 and 2/10. Because the 10 is the same, we do not add those two together. We just keep them the same. It just ends up being 10. If you have 7/10 of something and 2/10 of something, you add those two together, you have 9/10, okay? You don't have 9/20. That's going to be a key piece. So if the denominator is the same, we simply just add the numerator. So if the bottom's the same, we add just what's on top. 7 plus 2 gives us 9. Same thing on number 2. In this case, though, we are subtracting. 17 is our denominator. That's what's on the bottom. 12 minus 5 is just plain 7. Factoring, you've got to be able to know how to factor these. Hopefully you're getting pretty good at those. But again, if you're not sure, on this one, it's two numbers that multiply together to give you C. C in this case is -4, but add together to give you B. B in this case is 0. So we need two numbers that multiply together to give you -4, but add together to give you 0, which would be x plus 2 times x minus 2. All right, so here's kind of the process. If they have common denominators, if they're the same on the bottom, all we're going to do is add the top. Now this was our warm-up problem number 1. They have the same denominator. All we're going to do is add the top. 7 plus 2 gives me 9, 9/10. So that doesn't, the denominator didn't change. We just added the numerator. Well, the same is true with rational expressions. The only difference with rational expressions is that we have a variable there. So let's look at this one. These both have the same denominator. The bottom is the same on both of these two. So all we're going to do is add what's up top. So that will give me 5 plus x minus 5. Now I need to combine like terms. I see I have a 5 here and a -5 here. I can combine those two together. The x I cannot combine with the 5's. So let's see, 5 minus 5 gives me 0. That gives me x over x. And anything over itself is 1. So the answer on that one is 1. But the big thing here is that we're going to follow the same rules as fractions. If they have the same denominator, we're just going to add the numerator. We're going to add what's on top. I'd like you to try these two. So I want you to work out the problems, and as soon as you've worked them all out, go ahead and push play to come on back. Right now I want you to push pause and work on the problems. Check your answers here. So these follow the same pattern. We've got x minus 4 on the bottom on both, so we're just combining the top. These x's can be combined. On number 1, the 4 and the -1 can be combined. 4 minus 1 gives us 3. I want you to try, well, let's not try this one. Let's go through this one together because it's a little bit more complex. A couple different things I want you to be aware of here. All right, we can see right away that these have the same denominator. Both of these two are exactly the same. So using our rules of addition and subtraction of rational expressions, all we're going to do is combine what's on top. All right, so this is going to look like this. Now notice my use of parentheses here. This is important because this isn't 2x minus 2. Okay, this is 2x minus the quantity of x minus 2. And why that's important is because we're going to distribute this negative sign. That negative sign is going to go to the x and to the 2 as well. So we're actually going to change the sign on that 2. So if you did this one and you just went 2x minus x minus 2, it would be incorrect. That negative, that subtraction sign here, applies both to the x and the -2. So I use parentheses there. That makes it a lot easier for me to be able to tell. Well, now that we've got it over here, we've got 2x minus x plus 2. I can combine my 2x and my -x. So 2x minus x just gives me x. Let's see here. So that's going to be x plus 2 over x squared plus x minus 2. Now it kind of feels like we should be done here. However, with this quadratic on the bottom, it may, if we were to factor that, I may have an x plus 2 there. I can start crossing some stuff off. So let's factor this one. I need two numbers that multiply together to give me -2, but when we add them together will give me +1. So that's going to be a +2 and a -1. And that's all I did here. I just took the same one here and I just factored what was on bottom. Well, now that we've factored these, I can see that I have an x plus 2 and an x plus 2. Okay, so I've got one on top and one on bottom. I can cross those off. So those are gone. That leaves me with an x minus 1 on bottom. Remember, if you only have something on the bottom, there is still a 1. This is 1 times the quantity x plus 2. So we always have to write it with the 1 on top. So it's 1 over x minus 1 would be our final answer on this one. So this one's a lot more complex, but you're going to follow the same process. At the end, you just want to make sure to factor what the bottom is, the denominator, and see if you can cross something off on top and bottom. All right, I've got these two problems for you. They are similar to the ones that we just did. I would like you to work through both of these. Push pause now, work through both of them. Whenever you get your answer, come on back and push play. Check your answer here. Now, number one here, the important part here, that should have ended up with a +6. If you ended up with an x minus 6, you forgot to distribute that negative sign to the 6. So that's your error there. Both of these ended up with a 1 on top. They only ended up with something x minus 8 on the bottom in this case and x minus 7 on number 1. So we still write the 1 on top, okay? All right. So if they have unlike denominators, and this is where they get really, really complicated. All right, so you want to go really slow on these. Like we did with our multiplication and division of rational expressions, we really need to work on going slow. What we need to do is find the least common denominator that exists for both of them. That will make it easy for us. All right, so let's kind of go through one. This is our fraction here. The lowest common denominator on this one would be 12. 4 and 6 both go into 12, so it's going to be 12. So now what we're going to do is, in order to get this one to 12, I'm going to need to multiply this one by 3. So now I go 3/4 times 3 over 3. We haven't changed the value. We're multiplying this essentially by 1, so we haven't changed its value. But that allows me to have a 12 on bottom, okay? So whatever you multiply the bottom by, you also have to multiply the top. So that would give me a 9 on top, 9/12, but we'll get to that in just a moment. I've got 1/6. In order to get to 12, I need to multiply top and bottom by 2. So now I multiply top and bottom by 2. Okay, now that gives me 9/12 plus 2/12. Now I have the same denominator. Because I have the same denominator, I can go up top and just add the numerators. 9 plus 2 is 11. Okay, so it's one more step because we have to find what the lowest, well, it's two more steps really. We have to find what the lowest common denominator is, then multiply each part by something to get us that lowest common denominator. And that's something that you learned back in elementary school. Now let's bring in our rational expressions here. These are basically really, really similar. The only difference is now we have an x here. So the first thing is to find out what the lowest common denominator is. Now in this one we've got an x on one and a 6 on the other, so it's very difficult. And about 80% of the time, if you're not sure, you're just going to multiply the two together. Whatever the two denominators are, you're going to multiply those two together. It doesn't work all the time because sometimes it doesn't give you the lowest common denominator, but it will give you a common denominator, and it will work as long as you can reduce at the end. So I usually tell students just multiply the two together if you're not sure, and it will help. Okay, so my lowest common denominator here, I'm going to combine those two together. That gives me 6x as my lowest common denominator. Well, in order for this right here to become 6x, I have to multiply it by 6. So that means I'm going to multiply top and bottom by 6. And in order for this one over here to be 6x, I need to multiply it by x. So that means I'm going to multiply top and bottom by x. All right, so I've got a 3 times, so now we end up with 6x on bottom, on both. 3 times 6 is 18. 1 times x is just x. Now, normally this would be your answer. However, we need to put it in standard form. In other words, we need to have the variable here go first. So it needs to be x plus 18 divided by 6x. Now, we cannot cross these two off here because of this addition sign here. We don't have the exact same thing on top and bottom. It's not multiplication. We can't cross those off. All right. Now let's get some practice on these. So let's do one more. Here's one. We need to first identify what the lowest common denominator is between 5x and x squared. Now again, if you don't know, you can just multiply the two together. You'd get 5x cubed. However, in this case, it's not the lowest common denominator. That would be a common denominator, but not the lowest. the lowest would be 5x squared. Now, here's the rule that we'll use. First, we want to deal with the numbers. I have a 5 here and a 1 here. My lowest common denominator between 5 and 1 is 5. Then what you do is, if they have the same variable, we just take the highest exponent, which would be squared, 5x squared. And that will make your life easy. If you can use that rule, it will help a lot. So again, you deal with the numbers first. Then, if they have the same variable, we're going to take the highest exponent. All right, so now that we know that, this one here, I have a 5x already. So in order to get to 5x squared, I'm going to have to multiply top and bottom by x, excuse me. So I multiply top and bottom by x, that'll give me my 5x squared on the bottom. Over here, I need to multiply top and bottom by 5 in order to obtain it. All right, so let's simplify that a little bit further. I've got 9x minus 10, 2 times 5 is 10, over 5x squared on both. So now that we have the same denominator on both, I can just combine the numerator. 9x minus 10 divided by 5x squared is my answer. All right, so now let's give you a chance to practice some. Here I want you to find the lowest common denominator. All right, so between these two, I want you to just get a little bit of practice on that. Normally we'll have some information on top, the numerator. Right now I just want some practice on finding the lowest common denominator. So do that now, push pause, and after you've obtained your answer, come on back and push play. Hopefully you found out that it was 6x squared. Again, we take our numbers first. 3 times 2, it gives me 6. X squared, they both have an x squared. The highest one is just squared, so that's fine. That would be 6x squared. Now, I didn't ask for it this time, but you need to kind of think about what do I need to multiply this first one by to get 6x squared. Hopefully you can identify that's a 2. What do I need to multiply this one by to get to 6x squared? That would be a 3 on top and bottom. But I'm not practicing that at the moment. All right, here's another one. Push pause now, obtain the lowest common denominator, and then come on back and push play. This one is 4x to the 6th power. X to the 6th power, that's our highest power here. 2 and 4, the lowest common denominator is 4. If you wrote 8, that is a common denominator, but not the lowest common denominator. All right, let's try these two. Go ahead and push pause now, and when you're ready, come on back and push play. Check your answers here. Lowest common denominator here would definitely be 12. 3 and 4 is 12. Then my y, remember we take it to whatever the highest power is. This would be y to the 4th power. Okay, last one, then we're going to move on. So go ahead and push pause now. When you're ready, come on back and push play. Check your answer here. So between 5 and 10, 10 is your lowest common denominator. And then m to the 5th power is my highest power. Okay, that's my highest exponent, so that's when I write. Now you want to be thinking about this one. What do I need to multiply this one by to get to 10m to the 5th? That would be m cubed. And what do I need to multiply this one by to get to 10m to the 5th? That would be 2, top and bottom. All right, so I want you to try both of these. Find the lowest common denominator, then actually simplify the two. I'm going to give you a hint in just a moment. So if you're not sure of your lowest common denominator, number one, I'm going to give that to you in about 3 or 4 seconds here. Okay, our lowest common denominator, number one, should be 6x squared. So you want to think about what I need to multiply this side by here to get to 6x squared. So go ahead and finish the rest of it. Push pause now. After you've obtained your answer, come on back and push play. Check your answer on both of these. Remember that that this negative sign will apply to this 15. That goes on top. The 28y, this variable, comes first. All right, try both of these two. Push pause now. After you've obtained your answer, come on back and push play. Number one is a little bit more challenging, so if you're not sure, do number 2 first, and you can come back and do number 1. Number 1 is a little bit more challenging only because I have 2 variables in here. But go ahead. Check your answers here. Hopefully you're starting to get the process of those fairly down at this point. Now let's try some other ones here with a little bit more complicated lowest common denominators. I've got x squared and an x plus 1. And again, if you really don't know, the easiest thing to do is just to multiply the two together. In fact, on this one, this is the lowest common denominator is these two together. X squared times x plus 1. In other words, what am I going to need to multiply this side by here to get x squared times x plus 1 would be an x plus 1 top and bottom. What do I need to multiply this side by here to get that lowest common denominator? Would be an x squared on top and bottom. Okay, I want you to try this one. Go ahead and push pause now. After you've obtained your answer, come on back and push play. Check your answer. Okay, you should be getting pretty good so far. If you don't know, just again multiply the two together. Try this one now. This one will be a little bit more of a challenge. I want to see if you can do this one. Push pause now. When you're ready, come on back and push play. Check your answer here. Now hopefully you could determine after you factored this one that it's an x plus 4 times x minus 4. So then the lowest common denominator would be x plus 4 times x minus 4. That's the lowest by far. If you did x plus 4 times x squared minus 16, that is a common denominator, but not the lowest common denominator, and that would become a lot more difficult to do. All right, now this one is a nice challenge for you. I'll give you a hint. You need to factor both of these. Then find out what your lowest common denominator is. Go ahead and push pause now. When you're ready, come on back and push play. Check your answers here. Okay, so let's talk about this one just for a second. This right here is x minus 2 times x minus 3. Okay, this one over here is x plus 4 times x minus 3. They both already had an x minus 3 in them. So that is part of our lowest common denominator, okay? But we're not going to have to multiply either side by that. Our lowest common denominator is these 3. Those are the 3 binomials that we had on the bottom here. They both just happen to share that x minus 3. So in other words, on this one here, I would have to, in order to get the lowest common denominator, or in order to get the same denominator on both, I would have to multiply top and bottom here by x plus 4, because that's the one that's missing. I already have the x minus 3 and the x minus 2. I'm just missing the x plus 4. And then on this one over here, I would have to multiply top and bottom by x minus 2, because that's the one that's missing. I already have these other two there. It'll kind of give you a hint on where we're going here. Okay, let's look at this one. We'll go through the whole process. First of all, we need to obtain the lowest common denominator. That's our first step. The lowest common denominator here, let's see, I've got y plus 5, y minus 2. I'm not really sure, so the best thing I can do right now is just to multiply the two together. So I'm going to multiply the two together. That is my lowest common denominator in this case. Now I need to think about this. What do I have to multiply this side by right here, top and bottom, to get y plus 5 times y minus 2 on the bottom? In order to do that, I already have a y plus 5. I'm going to have to multiply top and bottom by y minus 2. Let's bring this in here. And I did 2 steps here, but that's okay. So I'm going to multiply top and bottom by that y minus 2. I already had the y plus 5. Now let's look at the second part here. I've got a y minus 2 already. So I'm missing my y plus 5. So I multiply top and bottom by y plus 5. Top and bottom, y plus 5. Okay, now, in order to do this, I'm going to actually have to distribute this 4 to everything inside. Let's do that now. Bring it on down here. I can distribute that 4 now. This will give me 4y minus 8. Over here, I've got 6 times y plus 5, 6y plus 30. Notice how I just leave these in factored form. That seems to be the easiest at the moment. Later on, maybe we can find something that can cross off. So typically, if you leave it in factored form, you'll be just fine. If you wanted to multiply those two together, you could. But typically, I encourage students not to do that because we might be able to cross it off later on when we're reducing. All right, so now I have the same denominator. All I'm going to do is combine the numerators. I'm going to combine all those together. That's what I did. I just wrote them all on top. All right, now I have a 4y and a 6y. I can combine those two together. So the 4y and the 6y I combine. That'll give me 10y. And I've got negative 8 and 30 would give me 22. So I've got 10y plus 22 over, and this is y plus 5 times y minus 2. And technically speaking, if you wanted to multiply these out, that would be y squared plus 3y minus 10. That would be accurate as well. Both of those two are accurate. I will accept this, and I would encourage you to write it as this because it makes it a lot easier whenever you're trying to reduce later on. All right, let's have you try these two right now. Go ahead and push pause right now, and then work out the problem. When you've obtained your answer, come on back and push play. Check your answers here. There's quite a bit to these. We want to make sure that you're writing these in order. This is 11x squared minus 19x. Over here, it needs to be in this order as well, 4v squared plus 25v plus 10. Okay, that's an error sometimes I see, and that is incorrect if you don't put it in the right order. All right, so we've got some more here. I want you to try both of these. Push pause now. After you've obtained your answer, come on back and push play. Check your answer here. Okay, so hopefully on this one, with this negative here, it throws off students sometimes because they forget to distribute this negative to everything inside here. And they'll want to keep this as positive 16n. So we do need to make sure that missing an n there. Should be an n right here. Sorry about that. I've got it over here, but somehow I forgot it right here. So anyway, if you ended up with a positive, that's what threw you off there. As well as, if you notice here, on top and bottom, I can take out a 4. So I crossed off the 4s there. This one is fairly complex. If you got number 1, then you're really starting to get the process of everything. Again, there should be an n right here. Sorry about the mistake, but that's okay. All right. Now on this one, we want to try to find what the lowest common denominator is. Quickly, if you can factor this one, you'll find out that it's x plus 2 times x minus 2. So the lowest common denominator in this case would be x plus 2 times x minus 2. So this one actually already has both. This one doesn't. This one we're missing an x minus 2. So we're going to factor it. There we go. Now we're just missing the x minus 2 over here. So I need to multiply top and bottom by x minus 2. There we go. I multiplied the bottom there. Now I need to multiply the top. There we go. X minus 2. Okay, now we have the same denominator. We're going to combine the numerators. So I've got the same denominator there. I'm going to combine the numerators. The big thing here is that this negative 1 will apply to everything inside there. So I need to distribute that 1 to the x as well as to the negative 2. So that would give me 3 minus x plus 2. My 3 and my 2 I can combine. This will give me negative x plus 5. All over the x plus 2 times x minus 2. All right, so that's kind of the whole process again. I want you to get some practice on that, though. Try both of these two. Push pause right now. Work out the problems. After you've obtained your answer, come on back and push play so you can check your answer. Check your answers. All right. So fairly complicated on those. And they will be that way, especially on your homework and on the test. But as you get more practice with it, it will become easier. You'll be able to identify these quicker. All right, I want you to try this one right here. This is a very complex one because you're going to have to factor the bottom on both of these two. Try this one now. Push pause whenever you're ready. Come on back and push play. All right, let's work through this one. I have a lot of students that have issues with this. So let's work through the whole thing. I've got both of these factored, x minus 5 times x plus 2, x minus 5 times x plus 1. So the least common denominator here is going to be x minus 5 times x plus 2 times x plus 1. Okay, so now that we know that, we need to see which one we're missing over here. I've got my x minus 5 and my x plus 2. I'm missing x plus 1. So I'm going to multiply top and bottom on this side by x plus 1. So you can see I did that here. Now over here, I've got an x minus 5 and an x plus 1. I seem to be missing my x plus 2. So I'm going to multiply top and bottom by x plus 2. All right, now that we have the same denominators now. Now I kind of skipped one step here. This is 2 times this quantity, so 2 times x gives me 2x. 2 times 1 gives me 2. 4x times x gives me 4x squared. And 4x times 2 gives me 8x. All right, now we've got the same denominator. We can combine the numerators. We can combine what's on top. So I wrote them all over the same. Now we got to combine the like terms. I have a 2x and an 8x. Both of those two can be combined. So I'm going to combine both of those two. Now that I have it there, I have to write it in standard form. Standard form means that we have our highest exponent first, x squared. This one will go first. Then my next highest, which is x to the first power. There's a 1 here. It's invisible, but there's a 1 here. This constant always comes at the end. So we put it in correct order there, and that is our answer. So hopefully if you struggled on that one, that made a little bit more sense after we went through it. I'm going to give you some more to practice here. Go ahead and try this one. After you've obtained your answer, come on back and push play. Check your answers here. Alright, so same thing on this one. We wanted to find the lowest common denominator. See what we're missing. If you look at these two, I've got an x plus 4x minus 7. I'm missing the x plus 2. That's why we multiply top and bottom by that. On this one, I've got an x minus 7 and an x plus 2. I'm missing my x plus 4, so I multiply top and bottom by that one. Try this one. Let's see. Push pause now. Work out the problem. After you've obtained the answer, come on back and push play. Check your answer here. Now this one got a little bit tricky because we did have this subtraction sign here. This is minus 3 times that quantity, okay? So it's minus 3x, I did it here, 3x minus 6. I have to distribute that, so you end up with a positive 6. That 6 should have been positive. If you ended up with a negative 6, it's because you did not distribute this negative sign to everything inside.